This is the farmhouse where I grew up, where my father grew up, where my grandfather grew up, where my great-grandfather grew up. The main house was built in 1860. We got electricity in 1943 with the Rural Electrification Act. And now what I am doing is I'm removing the majority of the 1960 updates and reverting the era back to somewhere between 1920 and 1950. I'm going to show you each room in the order that I did them years ago. While I am no more of a carpenter or a designer than any member of my family has ever been, I'm doing it to suit me and my tastes. Here you can see our 1960s vintage concrete steps. They were custom cast to fit the door. And of course, back in the 60s, they would have had wrought iron railings. And that's what you see, and they're looking pretty sad at this point. Definitely ready for an upgrade. The first step in the restoration of those concrete steps, because they were still good, the step distance was just not right. So we dug around them, as you can see, and jacked them up. And we've got some wood blocking under it to figure out the exact height that we need. And then we put in some crushed stone and some solid concrete blocks. And you can see the jack we were using. It was a Harbor Freight floor jack. It jacked up the steps very nicely because being custom cast, they're mostly hollow. They're not solid. So with the steps jacked up to the correct height, we now needed a new step. So you can see that we've got some forms made and some backfill of loose rock so that it's not all concrete for the first step. And here you can see where we poured a brand new first step. And now we're going to make some railings. We've got 1.25" black iron pipe, and we're going to bend it in our tubing bender. Now I know that's not the right bender, but that's what we had, and it will bend it to a certain point before it kinks. And as you can see here, we're using our Starrett gauge to make sure that we get exactly 45-degree bend, no more, no less. And like I said, it's not the right bender for the black iron pipe, but with a little bit of a kink, you can get 45 degrees. Now as you can see here, we've got two precise 45-degree bends. The right side will go down to the new step, and the left side will go back to the house. And here you can see with our cutter, after we took it over to the house and took an exact measurement, we're cutting it to size. And here you can see the second test fit. It's exactly what we wanted. The top part is exactly parallel to the top step, and the bottom step, it is exactly 90 degrees to that step. So back in the barn, you can see we've got a 1.25" floor plate screwed onto the bottom, and the top part has a 2-bolt flange that where I work, they throw them out. So I took that and welded it with a MIG to the end of the railing. And then it's got a coat of Rust-Oleum primer on it right now. And then with a final coat of Rust-Oleum light machine gray, we mounted the railing to the house. 2 bolts on the top, and then we drilled into the concrete and put some concrete lags. And then it was just a matter of exactly duplicating what we did the first time. And you can also see where we have pressure washed the top 4 steps so that they are clean. That's in preparation for refinishing. And then the holes that were drilled for the wrought iron railings were filled with automotive epoxy putty. And then we covered the steps with gray colored roller rock. Then, of course, we realized that the bottom step was actually below the level of the grass, so we had to dig that back, and we've got a portable hydro seeder unit, so we hydro seeded that area When the grass grows back, it's going to be below the level of the step. And that is how we rebuilt the front steps to the porch.